So we are going to do something and learn something new today. We are going to learn how to make a piece of contemporary art. Each one's going to be absolutely different. I saw a friend of mine making this with Mariah Ferguson, and I said, please come teach us, show us something new to do. So Mariah, talk with us about what you're doing here and how easy this is to do.
Yeah, so basically, you know, it's basically just mixing paint together and then pouring it onto a canvas and seeing what you get.
Okay.
I think it's one of the best pieces of or type of art to make if you feel that you may not be very creative, because you're really just choosing your favorite colors and mixing them together and putting them on the canvas.
So we went to Michael's and bought different types of canvases, and I want Mariah to explain to us what the different types of canvases are and why she recommended different ones.
So this one that we have here is the level 3. They come in 1, 2, or 3, 3 being the highest in terms of advance. These ones are thicker in their width so they can withstand more manipulation than, say, the value size ones. The value size ones can come in bulk, so about 5, 2 to 3, and they're a bit thinner, but you still can use them. So I wanted us to show the users both sides of just basically different styles that you can have in your home. When you have your colors, you're gonna need the acrylic paint, as well as some cups to do your mixing and stirrers. Aside from the acrylic paint and the canvases, you need what is called pouring medium, and this is actually what you add to the paint to make it liquefied. This makes it easier to move around on the canvas, as you may know that acrylic is pretty thick.
Okay, so let's start. What colors are we gonna put together first?
So I'm gonna do each color individually. I'm gonna put a little paint and then some pouring medium. Normally what you do is 1/3 paint and then 2/3 pouring medium. Okay, so this is perfect. So you want the consistency to come off just like that. So we can put that one to the side. So I'm gonna have you do the turquoise here, turquoise blue.
Okay.
Okay, and I'll do the gold.
Okay, so now what's our next step?
Our next step is adding the silicone. So this right here is actually what is gonna give you what you see here on this one, what is called cells, these holes here. You can add anywhere from 3 to 10 drops, depending on how much separation you want.
In each of the colors.
Exactly, and then you'll mix it up. So now what we're gonna do is actually combine the colors into one cup, okay? It does not matter which one you start with, it's completely up to you. So I'm gonna start with the turquoise here. And there's no real method to pouring it. You just aren't just kind of splashing everything in there, because you do kind of want it to keep a consistent flow of color. If not, you would just be mixing the colors together. So notice I'm making it run down the side of the cup here. It actually aids in helping them layer on top of each other versus just mixing. If you pour it right into the bowl, as you could imagine, the paint would go straight down and enter the bottom of the cup and just start kind of whirlpooling from there. So, this is my favorite part. Look at that. Isn't it beautiful?
That's fun.
This is the art right here. You just put that on the table. So now, the different methods that there are for actually pouring, because this is called paint pouring, require different things. So the thing that I'm gonna do is called a flip cup.
Okay.
And all you're gonna do is, I'm just gonna demonstrate with the cup that doesn't have any paint in it. You're gonna take the cup with the paint in it, and you're actually gonna take your canvas, you're gonna put it right here, and then you just flip it over.
Okay.
That's it. No mess at this point, okay? And then after that, we will lift it. There are also alternative ways where if you had the paint in here, you could just flip it on. That's a bit risky, depending on what type of area you're in. You can also just pour it. So we will do all 3, since we do have 3 different sets of canvases, okay? All right, so I have the canvas. I'm putting the canvas on the cup. Doesn't matter if it's in the center, you can actually put it on the side. And then we're gonna flip it down. And I'm actually gonna let it just sit for a couple seconds. As you can see, the paint is shuffling down to the bottom. Give it a couple taps. I normally just let it sit for about 30 seconds while I'm moving things out of the way, cleaning up, just to make sure that it's all settled at the bottom. So now I'm gonna lift the cup and allow the paint to settle. Now allow that to settle for just a couple seconds as well because it is fanning out. And then our last task and method that you use is called tilting.
Okay.
This requires you to take the canvas and actually tilt it different ways to make the paint kind of run off the sides there. So I would say this is the most fun part.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna just kind of lift and go this way first. It's gonna go pretty fast and you don't wanna waste your paint. And now I set this down and it depends on what you think. So there's a lot of gold. I can add a little more white kind of on the sides, you know, whatever you like. So now, once you come on the sides, you're gonna take your hand and you're actually gonna cuff it around the edge here so that you catch some of the paint. Because if you were to just flip it over, it's just gonna actually skip the sides and come right off.
Okay.
So you actually want it to drip down the sides, especially because this is so thick here.
Very cool. So it really just freeforms and does its own thing. How long does this take to dry?
I would say that you would keep it completely flat, of course, for about 3 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, to make sure that it is completely dry. In 24 hours, you can touch it and you can put a fingerprint on it.
Got it. Okay. So then these bubbles are just kind of will come out. Is that?
So the bubbles are caused by the silicone. If you do not want the bubbles, then we will not mix the silicone into it.
Okay. So we have reset for our second type of pour. I want to say that one of the things that we realized we needed to include was some wax paper, because you said depending upon the type of material that your canvas is on will make a difference. So talk with me about that.
So when you're letting it dry, you actually can prop it up on things. So sometimes I actually put the canvases, I don't think this will fit, but if you set it up on something so that it can freely drip and not basically bunch up here, as well as so it doesn't stick to anything. So this actually, you'll be able to pull it off very easily, but this type of material may actually stick to the canvas itself, and then you will be prying it off of. So
you would need to use some kind of X-Acto knife or razor to pull it back.
Exactly.
Okay. So just wanted to say, when you are doing this, be sure and have some wax paper by you and also some paper towels, because we've reset this to add some new colors now with what we're doing. Okay.
We're also not going to use the silicone drops this time, so that I can show you what it looks like with no cells. So I'm going to do black, white, and gold for these smaller cube size. I forgot, I think it was 5 by 5. Okay. Okay, so now this method that I'm gonna use is just called free pour. So instead of flipping the cup, I'm actually just gonna pour the paint from the cup onto the canvas, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. How fun. All right, so we're gonna try one more technique, and this time you're also gonna use more drops.
Yes, so for the bigger one, we used about 5, but then for that smaller one, we used about 8. So I'm gonna do about that much. Alrighty, we're putting the canvas on. And make sure that you got a grip on it, especially if you have cups that are a tad flimsy.
So as glossy as these look right now, as they're wet, they do dry and become more of a flat finish as this one has, and that's what you did a few days ago. So the last technique that you're going to show us is how to add gloss to it.
So some of the paints that you can buy that are acrylic paint are matte or satin, and some already have a little bit of gloss in it. So you'll notice that when they dry, you'll know if you want to keep it this way. You don't have to apply a gloss. If you want it glossy, apply a gloss. You can also kind of varnish it with like a UV protectant. Okay. But this right here is just a gloss varnish. It comes in small bottles. It's actually similar consistency to pouring medium, a little bit more liquidy. And the only other thing you'll need is just a brush. You won't be kind of tilting this. You'll actually be brushing it on when it is completely dry.
And then how long will this take to dry?
I would say still just leave it a day. But definitely after a couple of hours, it's actually pretty set in because most of the glosses are fast drying.
How fun is this? So Mariah, thank you for sharing your passion with us, for teaching us some new techniques, and good luck with all of this as you're doing on your Instagram site. Again, remind us of what it is.
Art for Soul Therapy.
I love it. I hope you enjoyed this and find a way to find your soul therapy. Remember to like us, subscribe, and enjoy whatever gives your soul good therapy.